Welcome to the DAD&B podcast, episode 4. I am Zach, Zoo22. I am here with John, Good Shepherd, Kevin, Ken K. As always, we are sponsored by coffee. It's better than tea. Good share.
Love it.
So, yes, truth be told, I've been drinking tea. I tried some Yorkshire tea, and I took the advice of my British friend who was like coffee in the morning, tea in the afternoon. And I must say, like, tea does give me a little pep, and I sleep all right at night. So
heresy.
We might need a new sponsor, but there's never any question what number one is, which is coffee. Of course, I love coffee. And at some point, maybe we'll have a tutorial on how to make a proper cup. And of course, any of the people from the UK that have any comments on how I made it, I tried to be textbook about it. I think I even got the right biscuits, as you call them. Let me know if you have any notes on my process, but I even heated up the mug. So yes, here we are in our 4th episode. And today we have a special guest, Harry Ransom. Hi, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Good.
Good.
I just did a comedy bit, so you'll have to forgive me.
The monocle.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good chair.
Always works that.
Yes.
To make fun of us.
Do I have a monocle in here? No, I don't have. There's not a monocle. Yeah, there's no monocle in the video filters. You would think there would be, but no, there's just.
No.
Look at you and your advanced skills with Zoom. I didn't.
Yeah, dude. I
That's
gotta
like
use
a guy
Zoom.
that turned himself into a cat, right?
This is how like we entertain ourselves at work during meetings. And the other thing in Zoom, I don't know which version you're on, but they have like these studio effects. So like if your eyebrows, like if you need to like work on your eyebrows a little bit.
Oh, a little microblading.
Yeah, and then you know.
Well, so yeah, we have some questions for you. I mean, I know I checked out the Winslow podcast, and I guess you did talk about being a dad a little bit.
Yeah.
But, we'll start off with an icebreaker because we are sponsored by coffee.
Not to make things weird, I'm not a coffee drinker.
Yeah, that's my first question.
Yeah, I drink iced tea. That's like my caffeine. First sight, I don't buy graphic t-shirts much anymore, but I did get a Bad Snares Anonymous t-shirt, but I did not wear it tonight because I was like, I wonder if John's gonna wear it because
Hey, I'll go switch to something else, and
no,
you
it's
can put it
fine.
on if you'd like.
I didn't bring it with me. Like, so that's the other thing is I'm not home. Like, we're visiting one of my wife's sisters, her family lives in Connecticut. So we came down for the day.
That's right.
Where is that
Right?
on the map? Can you point? I'm just
Yeah, it's above New York. Yeah. So that's the thing is like I was trying to find a background as well that like it's it's not my basement. I mean
Oh, I love it.
They've got like
drum and bass.
Oh, it's great.
Drum and bass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it. This is your in-laws, is that right?
yeah, this is
Oh, the dartboard's important.
So jealous.
It's the DAD&B podcast, like visiting in-laws. It's perfect.
It's definitely the dad layer in this house.
You have your kids with you?
Yeah. So my oldest, she's 5.5, and my youngest, he's going to be 2 in September.
Oh, okay, yeah. So my toddler has just turned 2. Kevin, how old is Austin?
5.5.
Wow, God,
Yeah.
really?
I know, he's getting so old.
And Johnny's kids are a little bit
13
older.
and 12. Yeah, I have a teenager.
Yeah, is a teenager playing AAU basketball or something?
Yeah. So he had 4 basketball games today.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So then family came in town too. We all met for a very nice Tex-Mex meal.
Zach and I had to adjust from Texas to LA. I mean, no good barbecue, no Tex-Mex.
But carne guisada is the thing I grew up eating. I had to learn how to make it so that I could eat it, and it's worth it now. It took me a while, but like it's pretty good. Kevin's had it. I don't think John's had it, but
It's like now you've got your version of it.
yeah, now like I'm comparing because it's also like I like it spicy, the right amount of spice, and like it's just like also cachet at work. I can give it out and as a favor and stuff. So
And that's my approach to drum and bass. I like this stuff, and I'm gonna learn how to make it, and I'm not gonna make it right, but I get the spice right, and and then it becomes like your own thing.
yeah,
So,
well, I think you said something that like really resonated with me was like it might be garbage, but it's our garbage.
Yeah.
But hopefully at some point it doesn't sound like garbage. At some point I think we're inching closer to it. But that's why we want to be able to have conversations with people like you and stay in these communities. I mean, Discord, this whole like COVID emergence of people coming together online has been, the biggest silver lining for us. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of do a random. I have these questions, but I'm just gonna jump around. Like,
it's cool.
So in terms of sound, like, and not it sounding like garbage, one of the things I wanted to ask you about was like, I got the Emu Mackie bass sounds. Like they sound awesome, super good. Have you done sound design for like other DJs? Are you like throwing sounds at other people or just putting them out?
I don't know. It was just like an experiment. Like that's a lot of my stuff is I'm like, well, what happens if I do this? Okay, I'm going to record it and oh, wow, this is pretty awesome. But if I don't use it, let me put it up. That might help someone else out and that might spark something.
Yeah.
That's like, I don't know, me learning and kind of sharing what I've done. And I know of people that have used some of those sounds already, like in tracks. Like I think Perspective, he was on Goldfat. He hit me up and he was like, I use like this bass and this bass on this track. And it's like, I don't know, it's a good feeling to see that I'm putting something out there that other people are taking and like, going further with it or twisting it in different ways, like ways I wouldn't have done.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely let you know. I mean, I really found some stuff that like got me excited, and I think I'm the same way where just one sound can set me off.
Talking about something, one idea sparking something. I had this a month, and I'm like, this thing's so much fun.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So it's a fairly new Novation toy. It's the Circuit Tracks. They market it as a groove box. I'm not a big hardware person. Like I've just found that I get more done with the computer. But like my old roommate, he gave me an Arturia Microbrute for my birthday a few years ago. So he's always on my case. Like, have you used it? Have you used it? Have you used it? And And now I've picked up this Trax. I picked up like a cheap Mackie mixer because I do want to get an emu again, and I still don't feel like I've figured out like that 90s sound that really hooked me in. Like optical is, you know, I don't know, you're all, I know we all have kids, but like you're all married. Like, did your wives do, or spouse or whatever do, like my wife went on a thing with her girlfriends, and it was, you know, I had to answer questions about her, and then
well, I had to do that.
Yeah. So I know that one of the questions they asked her was like, you know, what's Harry's favorite band? And she's not like a club scene person. Like, she's not a drum and bass person, but she knows enough about it. She was like, Optical? And like, yes, you know, Harry's favorite band is like mid-90s Optical.
Good for her.
I do have bands that I like though, but Optical's, yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah.
And he almost got out of the scene, right? Because of tinnitus and really bad ear damage, didn't he?
That was a long time ago. I want to put that at like 15 years ago or so.
Yeah.
He's had to learn how to manage it.
Doesn't London Electricity have it too?
Yeah.
Dude, I have tinnitus. Like,
I mean, I haven't heard silence in 30 years. When did I start playing the drums? Like, I haven't heard silence. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't notice it. Do you? Because like for me, unless I'm thinking about it, I don't hear it. But like now we're talking about it, and I can hear it. My ears are ringing.
It's in quiet. Like when I'm in a quiet space, that's when I really notice it. Mine came on because of a sinus infection. Like,
no kidding.
Never had. You know, I didn't have anything like that for like 20 some years, and then 4 years ago, I got knocked on my ass, like bouts of vertigo because of the pressure.
Yeah.
And then I noticed the ringing, so I went and got my hearing tested. Talked with my doctor, like the audiologist, and the other thing is I haven't really been going to shows that much the last 6 years. But like I'd say the last 10, 15 years, I almost 95% of the time I wore earplugs.
Do you wear like attenuators, or do you just wear foamies, or?
I had attenuators, and I went to see Andy C at a show in Baltimore, and as I was putting them in, someone like hit my elbow, and what kind of crowd shows up for Andy C?
Right.
A very large crowd that moves a lot. Yeah. Like those they were gone. Yeah. So I should have just hit up my insurance and been like, just got a new pair, but yeah.
I'm gonna like jump back to dad stuff and ask you, one of the things that we talk about on the podcast is time management. And so the first one is kind of a yes or no, and a quick question is like daycare or nanny? Daycare. And they're both in the same daycare?
No. So my daughter was in a preschool actually. And she left at the end of June and is now going to a 5-week kindergarten prep summer camp at a school next door to where I work.
Nice.
So she is commuting into town with me, and I am not stopping at McDonald's for McGriddles or going through the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through and getting donuts. I do get bagels like once a week though. So
yeah, it's funny the mirror that the kids put up.
Yeah, it's like that pressure to like have better eating habits is much tighter with my carpool pal.
And so do you get the sausage or the bacon McGriddle?
Sausage. Although I love bacon with like a lot of other things and I'm not a big sausage fan usually, but the sausage McGriddle is delicious.
Yeah, it's good and terrible, as my buddy used to say. It is not something I should
still use that term.
Good and terrible.
Passed on to me. Yeah, I explain it.
Like,
it's so delicious and so bad for you.
Not what I should
do. Hence, good and terrible.
I go to the people are like syrup in the thing. Yes.
It's convenient. It doesn't get all over the place.
Sign me up.
I can do the rest of the drive and like eat that.
There's no little syrup cup. You gotta.
I don't think I've ever had a griddle. I just do the McMuffin.
I mean, McMuffin. Get out of here. You can get a biscuit. All right. But yes, when's the last time you DJ'd?
The last big show I played was December of 2014. I opened up for Diesel Boy in DC at U Street Music Hall. Then about 9 months later, it was before we had our daughter, I played like a small local night.
So that was kind of it. So is that why you started to focus more on producing, because you weren't like playing out so much? Or
what had happened is I was also pursuing a master's degree, and the course load really got intense near the end, and I wasn't keeping up with the music like I had been, for how I played and for like the range of stuff I played. There was a bit of prep that I had to do. Like I had to find music that I liked. I used Serato primarily. So I had to get stuff set up in Serato. I like cue points. I like tight mixing. So I had to make sure that I did the prep work so I could play the way I like to put the music together. And the master's work was starting to like increase. The other thing is like my friends didn't really want to go out as much anymore. And, early in my relationship with my wife, like she's like, are all your friends DJs? But, over time, like responsibilities or, different engagements start to come into play, and it's, harder to stay out. Like, I'm not a sober partier. Like I'm obviously having like a beer tonight, but like, I wasn't doing like party drugs or anything.
Yeah.
And I think as people get older and that stuff like creeps out, the ability to stay up super late just, wrecks you for so much longer.
Yeah. I love DJing, and I miss, like, one of the things that bugs me about my job is like, is that I don't get that feedback. It's like literally a million people watch the show, but I don't get to watch them watch it. And it's like when you play for people and they're just having the best time, like, I miss it. But ultimately, like John right now, he is talking to a guy in Dallas who's liking his tracks, and that excites me. Like the idea that somebody might be playing the tracks out. And, John, whether he can go to the gig or not, I mean, better off he can go and hear it on the system, hear how it works in the subs, hear it works in mono, like whatever it is. That's pretty exciting, and that's what I want to do. That's why I'm creating. John, were you going to ask something?
Yeah. So just a couple things, but, very tangential to what we're talking about here is like, Zach, when you talk about, we were discussing playing out your music. I think it's probably one of the epitomes of instant gratification, right? Is that like you make this song, well, actually it could be instant gratification or instant humiliation, right? It's high stakes. It's high stakes. And I think that's why, like, now, so Winslow was talking about an interview he had where he hasn't really had a chance to hear a lot of his songs played out in clubs, and how I think that is going to, and even he referenced it, it's going to have an impact on me, right? And that maybe some of his sound, it might be the next direction of his sound or something like that. But hearing your songs played out, I think is really important to know. Like I said, Tim, SED, not John said, how his music got better when he's been hearing him play his own songs out in clubs. And this is not new information, but brings me to my question. So one of the things that I was talking to a friend just yesterday about, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to bring this up, is when I was DJing back until like 2004, I loved like bangers, like, Ram Records, and even like Full Cycle stuff, like totally dance floor oriented music. And I still like what was dubbed Intelligent Jungle, like LTJ and some Total Science, which they crossed over both genres there. But I would never, like, if I told myself that John Gertzma would be producing tracks in 2021, I would expect that I would be doing dance floor stuff. And it's not. I'm finding myself doing more liquid drum and bass. So the question is, where would you consider your songs? Like, where are you targeting your songs to be played? Because like, there's like the pre-midnight time, and then there's the post midnight time, right? So we know kind of how, so like when you're writing a track, do you have something in mind, or where do you see your sound going in those two halves?
I'm trying to hit the whole lineup. I want something that's going to fit like a couple different parts of a night. I feel like a lot of the stuff I've been writing lately, I'm envisioning as like DJing music, but then this week playing with this Novation thing, it's like I was getting acid sounds out of it. I was like, oh, this is different. So I just record acid sounds for 20 minutes, and then 2 nights later, I've got like a 3-minute sketch that's like acidy. It's not a dance floor track, but it's not neurofunk. It doesn't fit into like one single like genre, like subgenre.
Right.
It's an experiment that I'm having that like I want to build on. So I've got a lot of stuff that I don't think anyone's going to play. Like actually, Winslow's playing one track of mine that I'm surprised that he's been playing it, and I've heard him play. Like he played it on Rinse, like he played it on like the Hospital mix that he did on Rinse, and I've heard him play it like
awesome.
1 or 2 other times, and it's not liquid. Like this is like a dirty, wonky, not normal drum pattern track, and it just I've referenced it. Like the track is called Disruptive Pattern Material because I've got like a drum pattern that's not normal. It's going to disrupt the flow of a mix. It's got samples of there's like an infamous grime MC thing that happened at Rinse with I think with Wiley, and like it may have been like not a real situation, but like people burst into the studio and like took over the mic, and like they've disrupted this broadcast. And so like I build up these worlds that I then try to put into tracks. So
it's not necessarily you're I mean, because you also talked about liking to learn, and it just seems to me like you're like trying to capture something that wants to come out whenever it wants to come out, or pushes you to go into a new space. Yeah. I mean, that's exciting to me because like I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Have you got any questions? Yeah.
I'm still curious on how how your routine works in terms of staying productive.
Yeah.
Does your wife give you like 3 hours on a Saturday every other Saturday, or is it structured, or is it?
Yeah.
No, my wife is like, I'm concerned you're not getting enough sleep. So it's like, all right, bedtime routines. Kids are in bed. It's 8:30. All right, I'm gonna get on the dishes. I'm gonna fold laundry. All right, okay. Steph's down. Like she's made it down. Like our daughter's supposed to be in bed at 8, and she works it to keep mom engaged. So Steph
so
gets
relatable.
Steph gets downstairs, and like I don't need to hear like you didn't do the dish. Like I just need to make sure that like the house is in good order, and then once that's like clear, like either we're gonna hang out, like watch something together, or like catch up on stuff, or like work on plans for something. And if she just wants like to decompress, like because of work, like her work day and the needs of the kids of her are different from my work. Like my work is like demanding, her work is demanding. You put us in the same room with the kids, 9 times out of 10 the kids are going to run to her. So it's like I know that she's carrying more of the weight, so I got to try and help out where I can. But then I get downstairs to my spot in the basement like 9:30. I'll just I try to have a plan getting in the studio. I try to get an hour of something. Like either I'm sketching, like last night like pretty much every night. Sometimes I sneak in some stuff like at work, like if I actually get to take a lunch break at work, which is not happening right now because I'm doing
laptop producer.
Yeah, I'll do stuff on the laptop, but like my main setup at home, I've got a Mac Mini and a MIDI controller I like to use, and like my sample library, like the full sample library is pretty much accessible there. But like the laptop that I have at work, I've got stuff installed on it, but I don't really have I have Serum and Hive 2 installed, and I have like whatever 2 or 3 current sample packs I'm into, or like whatever I've kind of put together. Like I'm all about sketching. I could send you guys like a folder of drum and bass sketches, and you'd be like, the drums are the same drums on all 40 of these tracks. It's like, yes, it's the same drums, but I'm not worried about the drums. Like when I sketch, like I get a pattern down and I just start building, and I build and build and build. And like of those 40 sketches, 38 of them are never going to become anything more than like a couple ideas that I can harvest like later on. Or I'll bounce out stems, or I'll bounce out like, samples, or like a patch that I made. But then you get the 2 or 3 sketches that just are like, yeah, there's something going on here. Like this is what I'm going to focus on, and work these up. Unfortunately, I right now have about 15 of those works in progress, where it's like I just have to figure out like I'm prioritizing stuff. I just have a lot of tracks on the go. Which
so do you like say, okay, I got all these sketches, now I need to block out 5 hours to finish this song, or are you still going to finish a song in 1 hour? It's over.
I do it. I'll do it in increments, or I might stretch to like 2 hours. Sometimes I'll have a deadline. Like I know that there's a demo deadline. Like I'm involved in a couple different things where you have like a hard date where, and this isn't like remix competitions, but this is like a label that wants original stuff for compilation, or I don't know. I know John books time with some people, like studio time. With
Duncan Winslow, and then Michael Algorithm I take instruction from.
So I currently the other thing is I look at it as booking studio time. I like to go into those sessions with a plan, and so I currently work with Filth. I've been working with him, I think, for about 1.5 years now. Like I started, did I book time with him before the pandemic? I definitely bought 2 sessions, like time for 2 sessions with him. Because he was doing a special like the holiday, like winter holiday time. So 2 sessions for like X amount of money. So I booked it, and we had mutual friends. I had seen some of his online stuff. I sent him questions. He wrote back with answers. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I want to book time with you. I had done time in the past with Heist, I think in 2017, 2018. And that helped like build a foundation for how I do drums, and got me thinking about how I organize projects. That's the other thing, is I'm very organized with projects. I'm not organized with answering questions, but if we sat down and like went through my sketch folder, my current project folder, like the way I save stuff in my DAWs, like I have like each year I have a folder, and within that folder I have like 01 mix downs, 02 sketches, 03 sound design experiments, 04 like whatever. And so like take last night for example, I did like 4 sketches, just like playing around, like not like these are like 20 minutes. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna bank that. Like so that became 07 for July dash. I think I did like 004, 005, and 006, and then like just a short description of what it was. And that's kind of how I keep organized with like the projects. And then that's, I don't know, I just kind of like follow that. Eventually that 07 like dash 03 is going to become, whatever
like a
2022 release on XYZ label kind of thing.
Does that. He does 30-minute sessions. He's got like 130-minute songwriting sessions on his YouTube channel. And
who does Kevin?
Bill Gates.
Oh,
sorry, I talked over you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, he's got like a whole methodology for stuff like that.
It's a fun process. Like that. So that's the other thing, is there's all these people that are putting out, like they're sharing like their process, or like a glimpse of their process.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work for everyone.
Yeah.
But we have the ability to take those processes and try them out ourselves and be like, well, I like this aspect and this aspect of it, so I'm gonna keep that. And it's like you come up with a an idea for something else to approach things, and you start to develop your own process. So I'll have times where I'll have like 2 weeks where I just write sketches. Like I'll do an hour, just DAW, start, all right, cool, sketch. And then I've got 10 sketches that,
you said either, how do you stop? Because I'll just go for 4 hours on one sketch. How are you stopping yourself?
Like fatigue, like just getting tired.
As your day started in the morning with a McGriddle, you're getting pretty tired at that point.
Yeah, like the kids don't care if it's 6 a.m. They don't care that you were up till 3. Like they're gonna wake you up.
Yeah, Kevin, I think you and Zach are loving Harry's process, right? Because Harry sounds very organized. Like Zach has taught me a lot of good habits, a lot of good hygiene.
I'm trying, John, but it's like
trying to get John
Kevin and I both edit TV shows, and like not only is it just these schedules just get crazier and crazier. So not only is it vital to stay organized for ourselves, but also we often are collaborating, and it's like, yeah, I mean, nothing frustrates me more than like editors that don't use naming conventions. But yeah, I mean, I am not at the stage of doing sketches. Like I think for me, I'm moving to that place because I feel like I need to learn the skill of finishing a song. Mm-hmm. And part of what I perhaps gotten too obsessed with, anybody else in this room, Kevin, with mixing. Yeah. And I just don't feel like, it's like I can get a sketch going and most of my sketches always pop. Like they sound good. You hear the drums, you hear the fundamental part that I'm liking, but then I start laying it out and fleshing it out, adding the extra sparkle and the extra parts. And now things are getting muddy. So I'm really trying to like finish songs for that reason. And that's what I want to try to learn when I go into a session with Winslow, whoever. And that's hard over Zoom. Like when you go into these sessions, and you say you learned your process with drums. Well, what do you like? What does that look like? You're opening the DAW and he's watching you work. Is that how it works?
No. So when I worked with Heist, like he's got his method, like he's got his process that he does. And the other thing is with booking time with him, you're booking 4 hours. Like, wow. It's like, okay. And he'd only do, when I worked with him, he would only do it on weekdays because he had a touring schedule. Like he was playing weekends. And so he did his tutoring and like studio sessions, like booking sessions during the week. So granted, I had a job that had a really good leave policy. So I would plan it. Oh, the other thing is he books things out like 6-9 months in advance. So when I started with him, I think I did 4 or 5 sessions with him. I knew going in, like, okay, he's going to want 4 or 5 sketches. And we're going to go over them the first hour. And then he's going to have something like everyone I've talked to that's worked with Heist, almost everyone start their first session with him is drums because he has his way he does drums. I don't do my drums exactly the way Heist does, but I learned a lot from how he did it. I took parts that resonated with me or that kind of fit what I was doing. And then I just kind of came up with my own process from there. But yeah, every time I had a session with him, I had to, he wanted to hear 4 or 5 things that I worked on. That did result in one track getting signed by one of his labels. Like, he was like, can you send these tracks to, like, he specifically said this track and this track, send to my label manager. And then it's a little weird because I didn't hear anything for a year and a half. And suddenly, and it's like, and we're putting out a various artist EP and this track is going to be on it. Wow. And the track still isn't out yet. I don't know, like it was a year ago that it was mastered. And this has actually been a lesson in patience because with this scene, like stuff happens like differently than you initially think.
Yeah. How did the Ben Rollo thing?
That's the fastest.
I was going to ask. I feel like that one was quicker.
That one was much quicker. Actually, I had a thing come out in December with Detached, and Karen K2T signed that. I sent him 2 demos. One he wasn't so into. The other one he was like, "This is cool. Here's some feedback. I'd be interested in it for a compilation." So I took on the feedback. I tried a couple of things out that, you know, we're still. When you get feedback, you kind of start to shape it around what you heard from the other person or other people, but there's still a way to keep it you. Yeah. And so I got the feedback from him. I did some things that were still within what I like to do. I sent him an updated version. He was into it. He was like, "Can you adjust the mix on this?" And I did, and then so that came out. That was like a 5-month process, you know, from the interest in the demo to it coming out. With Ben, that's also the Think Break. So the Think Breaks podcast Discord, there's probably about 120 people on there. Those guys host a Twitch stream every other Friday where people from the Discord can submit demos before the broadcast. They also like to issue production challenges every once in a while. Like the current production challenge is to make a jump up track. So that's due in August. So I'm not going to reveal the theme of one of my sketches, but I'm having fun with it. But they've done other challenges, like, you know, do a 2-step track, like a UK garage track. Yeah. And back in December, they said, who wants to do a collaboration challenge? And so like 12, 13 people put their names in. The guys from the server split it into Group A and Group B. And so if you're in Group A, you can work with someone from Group B. And when I saw the list, I was in Group A, and when I saw the list for Group B, I saw 3 people immediately. I was like, I bet I could work with them. I bet that would be cool to work with them. And Ben was the first person I reached out to. And we hadn't had any sort of like direct messages with each other before. But I was like, hey, like, I know we hang out like on the server and we've both been in feedback streams. Do you want to have a conversation about collaborating? Like, I didn't want to say, do you want to collaborate? I wanted to just put the idea of, you know, are you open? Like, do you want to kind of bounce some ideas? He's like, yeah, mate. You know, he's British, and that's my British accent right there. Not really.
Perfect.
He was like, yeah, man. Like, do you have any loops for sketches? That's the thing, is he set the standard on how he wanted to collaborate. So what he was looking for was like some sort of idea starter. Boom. I have my sketch folder. I did 2 folders for him. I did 10 sketches of harder stuff and 10 sketches of more melodic stuff, which I'm not known for. He liked two of the melodic sketches. I was like, can you send me stems for this track and this track? And they're both like, you know, 64 bar loops. So I sent it to him, and this is right before Christmas. I was like, hey, like, you know, take a week. I'll check in with you after Christmas. Let me know what let me know how you're getting on with it. Day later, he's like, hey, check out like my initial idea. It was a 4-minute fully arranged track, progression between stuff. And I was like, whoa, like, that's me, that's you, that's me. Like, it was very clear what we were contributing to it. And it was a really interesting experience.
And so so it wasn't like, it's not you working the same DAW. You're just giving him stems and then he's bouncing. Did it come back to you?
So actually he works in Ableton, and I also have Ableton 10 Suite. And so my sketches were originally in Bitwig. I sent him the stems. He did stuff in Ableton. I sent him some feedback, like saying, hey, like, you know, try this change. Like, I'm thinking maybe instead of, you know, a riser here, like move it 3 seconds further, or, you know, just some, you know, adjust your batting stance type stuff. And he made some changes, and then he sent me the project. So I was able to open the project in Ableton. I have a process I talked about in Winslow's thing about my drum programming. So I did some edits and change ups with the drums that were my style. I added some new, like, additional sound design. Like I took existing sounds and processed them in different ways, and then just kind of pan them a little bit, or the level of one down, just adjusted things. So then he listened to it, and he was ready for the project back at that point, rather than giving me feedback on what to adjust. He made some changes, and then like 2 weeks later, we played it for the feedback session. And a week later, he was like, "Hey, I have an EP, and they want this for the EP."
Wow, so that's sick.
It was quick. That was like a good start to the year.
And so, who mixed it down?
He did. He did the final mix down.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I think we put in a lot of time, but we want to make sure if you wanted to plug anything or talk about what you have coming up, that you can get that in.
So the one track that's coming out that Heist had signed is what is it? Dominus 2 is the name of the track. It's like a Amen. It's a breakier track. It's coming on a Various Artists EP on Calypso Music or Muzak, which is more of a jump up label. But there's something about my track that resonated, and they put it with it's an EP. They're calling it Recruits. So it's like four people that have done studio time with Heist in the past. I don't have a release date on it. Other than that, I'm working on it. I had some demos that a label expressed interest in. I can't say what label, but we're working to get 2 more tracks. So I have a 4-track EP for 2022.
Nice.
I've got a couple other things I'm aiming for, but I don't know. I'm just trying to have fun.
And these things are coming from you sending stuff out, or just relationships, or
relationships, and or like tangents of relationships, like, hey, like, this person said I should hit, or I know this mutual contact, like they said, I should hit you up. The other thing is, if you're going to send stuff to a label, take a look at what they say about demos, because they're probably going to spell out, like, send it to here, include this info, and just don't ramble in the email.
Yeah, no, let the music speak. Well, yeah. That's awesome. I mean, I think that's one thing that I really appreciated about John's, contribution to our group, is that, he's out there talking to folks, and I'm a nerd who sits in a room, and I'm not as good at that as John. I'm all right on the mic, I guess.
For all the listeners that don't have relationships like you have, because you obviously kind of a veteran at this point, I mean, what are your thoughts on sending unsolicited demos to labels as long as you followed the directions? Is that a hopeless cause? I mean, I know the hospital says they listen to everything that gets sent their way, but what's your take on that?
It's not hopeless. There's countless stories, like, even in, like, just in our scene, that a demo has been sent somewhere, and then months later, that the artist is at a show, and they heard their music played out, and had no idea that the artist playing it had it. And, like, someone big, like, this happened in DC. This happened, like, I'm old. I've been involved. Like, I didn't mention this. I actually have a track on Moving Shadow that I had collaborated with someone on back in 2002, 2003. Wow. I also had a thing. I don't know. Do you know UFO from San Francisco?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ed and I collaborated on a track with the Synthetics guys back around then, 2002. That came out on Ohm Resistance. But the Synthetics guys, like, their story, a demo ended up with someone that ended up with someone that ended up at No U-Turn, and then DJ Fierce is playing, like, their track. They had no idea. Like, they had no idea that the track made it to No U-Turn. Like, yeah, it's a romantic story. It's not going to happen to everyone, but it does happen. And I don't know. I mean, you just keep writing. Like, I might not get any more releases ever, but there's so much that I'm having fun with. Like,
you'll have releases.
Yeah, it's it can happen.
So, well, and that's what John and I talk about, is like, this thing has to get out of me. Like, it's, it lay dormant for too many years, and even though I'm busy and I got a kid, like, I've had music in my head for so many years. I know John's the same way, that like it's got to come out. And now that it's finally like coming out, if I play it for John and he's like, yeah, this is good, or if I'm like, my routine is when I finish a night, I'll output my song, or I'll output on my working on, I'll lay on the floor. I had to tell my wife, if you ever come in here, I'm not having a heart attack. I turn off all the lights and I just play it and I listen to it. And if it takes me to a place, like, that's what I want. I want to get released. Yes, that is my dream. That's part of what this podcast is about. But ultimately, like, I want to get the thing out.
When stuff happens with the music, like when you listen to your stuff, like when you listen to your sketches and whips and whatnot, and something sparks, in my case, I've gotten into the habit of writing down, like, okay, I'm working on this. I've got some ideas. Here's 3 things that like stood out to me with this sketch. Next studio set, like that, going back to the organized and like the time, there's 3 things that I know I can attack. Like when I get into the studio to work on that track, like those are the first 3 things I'm going to do on that track. And if they sound cool, that's progress on it. Because I've got like old friends that have been sending me stuff they're working on, but then they're like, hey, can you check out this track? Although I know I need to do X, Y, Z, A, B, B, C, and I'm going to circle back to, and it's like, I'm not going to listen to the track because you already know that you need to do all this stuff. Like, go do the stuff. Go do the stuff, bounce that version, and then, have me check it out, because I don't want to listen to like 8 versions.
Guilty. I am that guy.
I'm the opposite. Like, I'll go 6 months. I'm like, I'm not letting you hear it till I think it's ready.
So that's like, that's what's interesting.
There's a balance.
Yeah. I'll put a sketch down and I will bounce it to Zach and Kevin a ton. But
they're your close friends. Like that's a good situation to have, close friends that you can also like, hey, vibe check, and then be like, it's running. You're like, they might be like, your snare is garbage, but
right.
I like everything. I like everything around it, and like
always say that. Yeah, Zach always tells me to fix my drums, right? And it's funny. And then Kevin is like, polish your shit, right? So, but we do have this crew. So our old 222 crew of friends. So Zach and I, and we just brought Kevin into it recently. Yeah. How did we used to do it? Like this?
Shocker.
But submitting demos, Kevin, I love that question. So like with Zach, you were talking about getting the music out of you. And I think that's what's really drawn me back into doing music. And I won't turn this into me, but one of the things we want to do with the show, Kevin, that and Zach knows this, but Harry, maybe we could get you to come on, is I'd like to play this out again like we did on Twitch. And then we actually have a live stream feedback that I think we're starting to add on the tail end. So we tell people, like, I want people to know, like, if you're trying to get hooked up, send demos like to our mailbox, right? And what, like, ZJ is a guy who's already in the hopper for us to review one of his tracks on the next live stream. We did one with Tim's. I mean, Harry, if you ever want to share something, we'd be more than happy to make it part of the show, like maybe when we put this live on Twitch in a couple weeks or so. So
yeah, let me give you some advice on your tracks. Don't feel qualified, but
I don't get what you're doing.
You want, yeah.
Like, a lot of my tracks are inside jokes or stuff that made me laugh, or so I'm not a big bootleg person, but I've done a couple bootlegs that then I'm like, okay, like the bootleg part's cool, and now I'm ripping all that stuff out, and I now have 70% of a track here. It's not it's nothing from the original track.
Yeah.
And build off of it. I mean,
I'll take the dub plates, though.
There's so many different approaches to it. Yeah. So one of the demos I sent out started as a bootleg that was a little, how come no one's done a remix of this track like in the current style that's like popular on dance floors? And I may end up just doing a VIP version that is the bootleg on top of like the release version, but who knows? I mean, I'm not playing out right now. I may be playing out again someday. I mean, I still have turntables. I have Serato. I now have like a Pioneer controller. It's just, when I have music time, I'm finding I just want to write. I just want to
Yeah.
or make sounds. The other thing, the sketching. Sometimes I just have sound design sessions, and 20 minutes into sound designing, I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. What happens if I put a drum under it? And then, you know, an hour later, you know, I have a sketch. So,
well, which Pioneer thing did you get?
The cheap one. It's like a 400.
Yeah, we talked about that. Do you like it though, for practical purposes?
I've touched it twice. I bought this Novation thing. It's in my backpack. Like, I'm at my in-laws' house, and I like showed my nephews, and I'm just like,
you have a shiny new object.
I was
right?
like,
That's
Power Glove is so cool. Like, you know, it's, I don't know. I love records. I collect records. I love DJing. I love digital format DJing. I had a lot of fun with it. I played out for years. I got to play like some really cool places. I've played LA. I've played San Francisco. I played like up and down the East Coast. This is like all late 90s, early 2000s. Then like with DJing, I got comfortable just staying local and opening.
Well,
So
I am not like, the first thing I started doing was scratching. So for me, switching to the digital thing, like if I ever get asked to DJ, like I gotta figure out how to use a jog wheel. And I think John's the same way. He's like, because Serato's easy for me, you know, and I have a Rain 70. Like I have like a sick mixer to use Serato with, but like, you know, you can't just plug a USB in, and I have no idea how to use any of those Pioneers. I'm not worried about it, but like, I just got to get familiar with it if I ever want to play out again. So
I think in LA you might have access to Pirate Studios, which is like, I've seen the UK guys talk about it a lot, but it's now I've seen it branch to New York and LA, and they have DJ booths. They have rooms with DJ booth, like professional club level DJ booths. And I don't know what the rental fee is like per hour, but you know, that's an option. Like, you know,
that's
test run. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, it's really great to meet you.
Likewise.
Yeah, I don't know. That's about it. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, hit me up whenever. I'm online in various places.
All right, dude.
Cool, man. Thanks, Harry.
All right, take it easy.
Good, bud. Look below.
All right.
Post our links and look out for the new stuff. Let us know what you guys want to hear. Yeah, thanks for listening.